Hello and welcome to the Luxury Guy, your online guide to luxury goods. This clip here is going to cover buying Louis Vuitton items on eBay. eBay today is one of the best ways to buy used goods second-hand. eBay allows sellers to sell their items on a world marketplace instead of having to deal with a dealer. Unfortunately, the bad side is that it also means a lot of unscrupulous sellers have found a way to sell blatant fakes. My other clip on buying Louis Vuitton second-hand and looking at some telltale signs to identify as whether a piece is real or not has had a lot of coverage, so I'm very pleased about that. In this clip here, I want to cover buying successfully on eBay. Okay, first thing, when buying a piece of Louis Vuitton luggage on eBay is to look closely at the seller. Now, what I mean by that is, look at how long he's been in business, how much feedback he has there been any negative comments left. The best thing you can do is to also have a look at the positives. I know with some sellers who've selling fake items on eBay, they often sell the same item again and again and again. Now with Louis Vuitton, you cannot buy Louis Vuitton wholesale or through a second store. Louis Vuitton is only available brand new from the Louis Vuitton shop. So any items that are second-hand are the result of somebody buying them and then disposing of them either by eBay or through a dealer. So when you're buying an item on eBay, be very skeptical if the item is unused, unwanted gift, etc. How many people do you know don't want a $3,000 briefcase or a bag? I mean, in my life here, I've received very few expensive gifts like that. So my advice is to have a look at the seller, make sure he hasn't been selling the same thing over and over again. The next thing to do is, once you've had a look at the feedback from the seller, is to see how long he's been in business. Has he only just started trading? Has he been going for a number of years? And have a look at some of the comments that have been left by feedback. Is he mainly buying, or is he buying and selling? Now, not one of these things is a bad thing. If somebody is only recently into the eBay business, doesn't mean it's a no-go. However, it just means you've got to take a bit of caution. The next thing to do is to have a look and see, does the item exist in the Louis Vuitton catalogue? Is it a real Louis Vuitton item? So what you'd want to do is examine those photos very carefully and see if your best way to do this is to compare the photos from the eBay auction with the catalogue from Louis Vuitton. This will also give you the size. It'll also give you some of the major features, like, is the lock in the right space as in the Louis Vuitton catalogue, or is it slightly off, out of proportion? How does the handle look? Is it the correct type of handle for that type of item? Refer back to the Louis Vuitton catalogue for sizing. The other thing I always advise people to do is to pay by PayPal. Now, I must admit I have heard many bad stories about PayPal. However, if you buy an item on eBay and you pay with PayPal, you at least have some recall. If the item is fake, you can lodge a claim and argue your point. If the item doesn't turn up, you can lodge a dispute. You have got some things you can do. Now, I know PayPal isn't the greatest, and there are many negative stories, and I myself have been very cynical. However, it's some protection. It's a lot more protection than paying by a wire and getting that person to refund your money. So PayPal is a good thing. The most important thing is that with PayPal you've got a 30-day window. So if the item's coming from overseas, make sure that you do get it authenticated in time. Otherwise, you would have lost your right to lodge an appeal. Now, sometimes the item might take a week or two to come, so you've got to be very quick once the item does come to verify whether it is real. Now, if ever you are in doubt whether the thing is real or not, go to the Louis Vuitton store, be polite, and just say, hey, I got this, I bought this. Probably best not to say you bought it on eBay, because that's sort of it's a bit of like putting a red handkerchief to a bull. Best to say, look, I got this as a present, or I acquired this. Is it real or not? Now they will tell you whether it's real or not. They will have a look at it, they'll examine it, and they'll give you an answer. If the item is fake, you can then lodge a dispute. Took it to Louis Vuitton, they said it was fake. Louis Vuitton in my dealings has always been 100% ethical, and they will look at an item and tell you honestly what they think. Okay, I hope that guide has been useful. Please continue to post any questions to me, email me, or reply on YouTube, and I'll try and answer them as best I can. Thanks very much, and have a great day. Thank you.